Hey guys, Mike Doretto here from SashaPUA.com, and today I want to give you guys my definition of love. Love versus infatuation or lust or something like that. Now, one of the biggest issues that guys have when it comes to the whole dating thing is rushing in way too fast. I don't know if we do this, if we tend to do this more than women. I think both men and women are guilty of the same thing in this department. There are some statistics as to like who, or not statistics, but studies as to who tends to commit sooner and stay committed longer and all this other kind of stuff. And you'd actually might be surprised. There's a book that I recommend everyone read called Love Factually, and it talks about some of these studies, and you might be surprised to find that men more frequently, say I love you first, push for the relationship. You would think like, oh no, men are the guys that are dragging their feet, right? It's the woman's job to make the relationship happen. But it turns out that doesn't seem to be the case. And one theory on that is that this is an evolutionary response. So as we started evolving and realizing that women were looking for men that weren't just the biggest, strongest guy in the tribe, but guys that could be, providers and care about them and care about their children as well, some men realized, well, maybe not, this evolution doesn't work that way, right? But some people, the guys that were more prone to falling in love faster tended to get their genes into the next session, right? So I think that can explain why for some guys it just feels so right to fall in love quickly, for some people, right? Now, I want to really caution everybody on that, because we have another evolutionary process called limerence. It's the chemical infatuation that you get for this new person. And this limerence period, and some people call it new relationship energy, some people call it the honeymoon phase. This period can last anywhere between like a few weeks to a few years. Like, can literally last you 3 years, sometimes longer if the relationship is secretive or long distance. Basically, you don't get to see each other very frequently. It can last even longer. What's wrong with this? Well, it makes you behave abnormally, but you don't realize it. You think that you're just doing what you're supposed to do when oh, I'm in love with this person, so that means I should do this stuff like see them every day, spend as much time with them as possible, perhaps make a really important life decision like whether or not to change jobs or move cities, or even have the person move in with you because you're oh, I love them so much, I love them so much. Well, I'm here to shit in your cereal, okay? Because you don't. You don't love them. You are infatuated. You are lusting after them. And can this develop into real love? Yes, of course it can. I mean, the best relationships do start out in similar fashion. You wouldn't really, I wouldn't advise a person to start a relationship off like totally cold and unfeeling and being unsure about the person and then try to turn it around from there. I would want you to start off the relationship just like, oh my God, Mike, this person's amazing. But you have to exercise some intelligence, some caution around those feelings. People start to identify their being, their existence with their feelings. But feelings, like thoughts, are just another signal to sort of tell you if you're on the right track. You've met this person. Your feeling is that you love them, that you're obsessed with them, that you want to spend all your time with them. So what's your body trying to tell you? It's trying to tell you that you found someone for whom you would probably make good babies with. Great, awesome. But that's about as much as it's telling you at this early in the relationship. That's about as much. So you got to ask yourself, do I want to make really important life decisions or sacrifices or changes, or do I want to do minor things like neglect your friends to hang out with this new person all the time and end up harming some of your friendships? Do you want to do that if really the only thing your body knows is that it wants to put your genes in this other person and make a baby? I don't know if that's enough really to go on. Unless you're the type of guy that's just like, hey, I'm spreading my seed all around this world, and I'm trying to undo a little bit of what Genghis Khan did and try to get as much of my DNA into the next generation as possible. You're probably not like that guy. So what can we do? Well, I tell people to put arbitrary time limits or arbitrary milestone markers as to when they choose to really invest deeper in a relationship. And I say arbitrary because when you're feeling these emotions, you're going to say, well, no, it doesn't make sense to wait that long. It needs to be now. It needs to be sooner. So since you can't understand the reason for why it needs to be later, it might seem arbitrary to you. But I call it the 3-month rule to start with. So first and foremost, when you're dating a new person, do not agree to any form of relationship or title for at least 3 months. Okay? I'm telling you to wait 3 months before you make anyone your girlfriend or accept the title of boyfriend. Tell people that you like to have things develop organically over time, so that way you can be sure that you're really in the right place together. And you're not going to know that immediately when you've got all this infatuation in the way. The first sort of period of time where that infatuation wears off is the 3-month mark. The next period of time is around the 6-month mark. And then, like I said, the extension of it is the 2.5-year or 3-year mark. If you look around and you see the other relationships around you, you will find a large amount of relationships ending at 3 months, 6 months, and 2.5 years. Does anybody remember high school or sophomore year of high school or sophomore year of college? A lot of breakups in those years, right? Because you met them freshman year, and by the end of sophomore year, you're already sick of each other. That's an interesting thing about this limerence stuff, is it can make things that seemed like positives become negatives once it wears off. So a lot of these little things about a person's personality, like, oh, well, he clicks his jaw when he eats, or he has this cute habit of leaving his dirty laundry on the floor. Yeah. A couple years later, the limerence wears off, and all those things just piss you off to no end, right? So it is important to do your due diligence and wait for a more normal brain chemistry. The other thing about limerence is that when you go into a functional MRI and you're in love with this person, and you think about that person, your brain looks very similar to how it looks on some sort of drug addiction, right? All these areas light up, these different reward systems and things like that, because you're seeing the object of your affection as, well, it's very hard to not see them as this sort of, the most important thing in your life, the thing that gives you the most joy, the most pleasure, the most reward, obviously. But relationships, real love, true love that lasts years, it's not based on that. It starts from there, but it definitely gets a lot deeper, a lot more well-reasoned, a lot more things where you can say something like, these are the flaws that I find in my partner, but despite those flaws, I still love them deeply, and here's all the reasons why. You can't do that as early as 3 months, even 6 months. Honestly, for me, given my relationship experience, I'll say I love you at those marks, right? But I will be thinking to myself, okay, let's see what happens in another year when the limerence wears off. Is there going to be a big change? Is there not? Now, depending on how solid and healthy your relationship has been up to this point, you can sort of guess like that it's going to continue on its at least the good part of the trajectory, right? Will it be as passionate? Will 3 years, 4 years down the line, will you still be like, having all that kind of crazy spontaneous sex and stuff like that? Maybe, maybe not. Probably a little bit less. And that's where the effort comes into your relationship, where you actually have to make a little bit more effort to be spontaneous because the internal motivation has started to drain away a little bit. This is where people will start to go, I'm falling out of love. My partner, I must be losing interest in my partner. They must not be the right person for me. I must have been wrong this whole time. And so limerence wears off, and people perceive that change in their relationship, and then they throw out the whole relationship. When really, they just need to say, okay, this is that limerence thing that I heard about. I just have to sort of tweak my relationship a little bit. Maybe we need to communicate a little bit more on the things that annoy us. Maybe we need to take some extra effort to go out and go do fun things together. But that's where it's sort of the infatuation, the obsession wears off, and the real relationship begins. So for all you guys out there who say, oh, I just met her 2 weeks ago and I'm in love. Yes, that's great. I'm happy for you. Just don't go make any stupid decisions for a significant amount of time, for 2+ years at least. Don't. Now, I'm not saying you can't move in together sooner than that, but really, be aware of this thing. Maybe do some of your own research, and don't make life-changing, life-altering decisions for what really is puppy love, lust, infatuation, obsession, things that haven't matured into a true love relationship because they haven't had the time. So take that to heart. Good luck out there. And, let me know about any women that you might have fallen in love with quickly, and just for it to end up unraveling shortly after that. Tell me about that in the comments below. Thanks a lot, guys.
I'm Coach Mike Doretto with Team Sasha, and I'm a dating and relationship coach.